What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Dark Previews, and in this video, I'm going to take you through the most in-depth player prop preview you're going to see for this upcoming 4-game slate in the 2024 Olympics. It's my first video in quite some time, so I apologize if I'm a little bit rusty. There is a newborn in the house, and he's been keeping me up all night, but I managed to sneak away for a few hours, got into the lab, did a bit of research, and I'm here to share it all with you today. So I won't be using Outlier for this one, so I'm going to have to get a little bit creative with it, or not creative at all. I'll actually be sharing with you the sports book. I'll take you through each game so at least we can see the live lines, and I can tell you what all my thoughts are, and we can take it from there. That sounds interesting. Let's go. All right, so we're jumping into Bet365, which is a sports book I would typically use, something like this. They do have the most markets available, so I figured this would be a good place to start. You'll probably notice up here that I have $0 in my account, and you're probably thinking, is this a fake account? Did he just make this? No, it's not. This is mine, Danielson41. That was my username for this particular account. I don't use it anymore. Reason being is it has been restricted. So if we look at the last 12 months, for example, you can see I haven't really placed anything since Feb. That's purely because I made about $35,000 of profit between November and December. Then the restrictions came and I couldn't really get a lot on. So this is my account. It's not brand new, just for the purpose of this video. I've gone to the liberty of changing the odds to American odds. So for those of you who are watching from the US, you guys can probably relate to the numbers that I'm going to be showing you. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So looking at Spain versus Greece. Now, both of these teams did lose their opening match to the Olympics. They're in the group of death with Canada and Australia. So whoever loses this game won't proceed past the group stage. Santi Aldama was a monster for Spain, 27 points in a loss, and Giannis was an absolute freak against Canada, scoring 34 points. So looking at this one, bookmakers have it to be close. 3.5 is the line. Totals looking at 162. Greece are the favorites in this one, and I think rightfully so. They played really well. They pushed Canada to the last minute. Spain weren't really in it against Australia. So, I was playing sides and totals. I think Greece to cover 3.5. I think that's a great look. But you're not here for that, are you? Let's talk about some player props, shall we? So, I'm not going to go through every single player prop through the 4 games. One, I can't even say a lot of the guys' names in this, but also a lot of them, I just couldn't tell you whether they're going to go over or under. So, I'll scan the board. I'll let you know what my thoughts are, and we can take it from there. So, I think one to really think about first is Santi Aldama. So he did score 27 points in that last game against Australia. His line was at 16.5 when I did my research, so it's moved up to 17.5. So a lot of people are going to be betting that. And at 17.5, I'd probably still have a look at it. But the play that I like a little bit more for Santi Aldama is his 3-point prop. Over 2.5 3-pointers, it's at minus 105. And why do I like this? Well, against Australia, he did shoot 6 from 8. 6 from 8 from downtown. We do know that 3-point line is a little bit closer as well. So that all makes sense, and it makes it a lot easier for him. I think Greece will win, but Spain are going to need points. If they're going to be trailing, they're going to need some points. So I think Lul and Aldama, they're going to bomb from deep. So he took 8 attempts in that last game and made 6. For him to make 3, he probably needs to take 6 attempts in this game. But with easier matchup against Greece compared to Australia, I think Aldama is going to get some points. So I do like the over in his points, but I'm going to be playing the 3-pointers made prop for him. Going back to the points board, the only other player I considered for Spain is Sergio Llull at 8.5 points. But the other look you could take is his 3-point line, but that wasn't available on here. But I'm assuming it would probably be around 2.5 anyway. I think 90% of his shots come from deep. So Sergio Llull, I think he scored about 17, 18 points against Australia. He took about 15 3-pointers. So at 8.5, you really need him to make 3. I think he'll make at least 4 to 5. I wonder if he has... No, we don't have the milestone. So Sergio Llull, if you could get him, I think is an interesting look as well. But I like Aldama, his points. The other play that I'm thinking about is probably not going to be the most popular play, but this guy, Nick Calathis. So his line's moved to 7.5. I put a bet down probably about an hour ago. I got him at 6.5 points. Now, he was pretty poor against Canada. 1 from 4 from the field, 0 from 4 from the free throw line. Now, he does have an easier matchup in this game, and with improved efficiency, I would expect him to go over with very similar volume. Giannis, he's carrying the load for Greece, but in this matchup, I feel like he doesn't necessarily have to do everything in this one. Whereas against Canada, no one could score. Well, apart from Papa Nicolau, but they're the only two players who could score. So Giannis had to do absolutely everything. This is an easier matchup for a lot of the players for Greece. So someone like Nick Calathes, he's played in the NBA before. He's a little bit older now, but I think more than capable of carrying the 7.5. I got him at 6.5, but I think the 7.5 is not a bad shout either. So that's another player that I'd be considering. The player that I'm looking at is also from the land of Greece. It's this here, Kostas Papanikolaou. So his points line's at 8.5, but it's at minus 130. The look that I've taken is his over 3-point prop. Over 1.5 3-pointers made, minus 125. I think I had slightly better odds than this because I got on a bit earlier, but pretty much why? Well, he's the only player outside of Giannis to score in double figures in the opener. I think he got 17 points. He's their best outside shooter for Greece. His volume is excellent. He's attempting 6 attempts per game over his last 3 games, and he should get close to 30 minutes of action. He's also covered this line in 3 straight games. I think he's made 2, 2, and 3 3-pointers made. So if he's going to take 6, we only need to get 2 of those, and he's shooting 3-pointers above 50% at the moment. So this close to 3-point line, I do like it. Kostas Papanikolaou over 1.5 3-pointers made. Now, there are other good players in this game, like Lorenzo Brown, but I feel like his points and his assist line, they feel a little bit sharp to me. Willie Hernan Gomez, good player, but his line seems a little bit too high, if you ask me. Giannis, his line, it's between 28.5 and 29.5. All it takes is a bit of foul trouble or for someone else from Greece to go off, and then Giannis is going to get a hit here. So if I had to bet Giannis, it would probably be an under, but I'm not looking at doing that right now. So another could be Thomas Walker. He is one of their starting guards. Similar to Nick Calathes, didn't shoot very well, but will have his opportunities. So I was choosing between those two guys, and it ended up with Nick Calathes, but Thomas Walker could be a good look as well. Jumping into the next game, though, we have Canada v Australia, which is my hometown, Australia. Now, Greece, they did keep it tight with Canada. Canada pushed away in the last minute. SGA and RJ Barrett were the key performers from the land of Drake. Whereas for Australia, we had a pretty easy win against Spain. Landau, Mills, and Giddy, they were leading the way. They're being called the big 3 of Australia, which I never thought I would hear. But let's get into it. So firstly, the line for Australia was at plus 6.5 not too long ago. So people are definitely betting on that. That's come into 5.5. It's still plus money at the moment. It's the way I'd be leaning, but you can probably guess it by my accent. I am somewhat biased for this game. So go the Aussies. But let's talk about player props. What are we liking? So the first one that I'm liking is for Jock Landau, and I like his points prop. So it's at 13.5 now. When I initially had a look at it, it was at 12.5. I honestly think this will close at 14.5, maybe even 15.5 when it comes down to game time. There's still another 18 to 20 hours to go. So this could close well above 15 points for Jock Landau, and it makes sense. He scored 20 points and had 9 rebounds against Spain. Canada, they have an excellent perimeter defense, but they do lack an inside defense. If you've got Kelly Olynyk in there, Dwight Powell, Jock Landau can eat those dudes up. Now, he's been shooting above 60% in 4 out of his last 6 games. If he can get 10 to 12 shots up in this one, this play is absolute money. So Jock Landau, loving the points prop there. Don't mind the rebound prop, to be honest, but I like the points prop a lot more for Jock Landau. Sticking on points and sticking on the Aussies, one that I was looking at here is the under in Josh Giddey, 17.5 points. So the odds for that are continuing to get worse. So that's being bet as well. That might come down to 16.5 by the time tip-off starts. Now, Josh Giddey's only covered 17.5 points in 2 out of his last 6 international games. He does have a tough matchup against Canada. Lou Dort, SGA, and Dylan Brooks on the perimeter. We know that Dort and SGA spent a little bit of time with my man Josh Giddey in OKC. Now, Josh Giddey finished with 17 points against Spain, and he did that while shooting 58% from the field, which is excellent, right? The problem for me is that he lacks volume for me to look at his over. So if the volume's not going to dramatically increase, I can't see him getting the 17.5. Now, keeping in mind, he is capable. I think last game against the US, he took 17 shots in that game, finished with only 20 points. His percentages weren't great, but he was definitely more aggressive. Since then, the volume has dropped off. We've seen Paddy Mills go off, Jock Landale, and Jack McVeigh off the bench. So Australia with other contributors, meaning Josh Giddey doesn't have to take so many shots. And for this particular game, I don't think he does. The other player that I'm looking at for this particular game is another fade on an Australian player. I'm looking at the under in Paddy Mills' assists, 3.5 at minus 115. Now, Paddy Mills is not a notable passer, and he also has a tough matchup in this game. He's covered this line of 3.5 in only one of his last 6 international matches. And he also struggles against athletic guards. So Paddy needs to be a scorer for Australia to have a chance to win this game. I don't think we see him diming up in this one. So the under 3.5 for Paddy Mills, that's definitely one way that I'm thinking. But what about Canada? They're the favorites, right? We've got to have some props in there for Canada. Now, looking at them, firstly, SGA, his line's at 23.5. Hasn't necessarily gotten too close to it, but in a game this big, I know that he's more than capable. So I'd lean to the under, but not something I want to bet on. RJ Barrett, his points line is moving up. It's at 18.5 now. So a lot of people are betting on RJ Barrett. I still think he goes over, but I feel like I've also missed the boat on his points line. I did bet his points line in the last game, so let's not double dip. But I think RJ Barrett can have a good game as well. But there is a forgotten man in all this, and that's Dillon Brooks. So his points line's at 12.5, minus 105. I do like that. But what I ultimately think I'm going to choose is Dillon Brooks over his 3-pointers made at over 1.5 3-pointers. So he's attempting 4 attempts per game. He's also shooting 66% from deep. Attention's going to be all over SGA and Barrett, so Brooks should find himself with some wide open looks. And also that 3-point line being a little bit closer, Dillon Brooks been cashing in. So I do like the over 1.5. Might be something that I even ladder to 3 and 4. We get plus 230 for 3, plus 650 for 4. I think I can see myself taking it maybe the 3, but I don't know if I can get to the 4. But I think Dillon Brooks can have a big game in this one. Some other notable players to talk through, probably Pills. His points line's at 16.5. I can see him going over that. The concern is that perimeter defense for Canada. So I'm choosing just not to bet on Paddy Mills, but it's definitely something I've thought about. But obviously, Jock Landale, the most popular pick for me for this particular game. I think he's got a great matchup, and Australia are going to need it. Pumping the brakes real quick to give you an update on my VIP picks. Pretty much, I'm gearing up for a big NBA season. For those of you who were along for the ride last season, I did profit over 100 units, and that's only on the picks that I shared on YouTube. Personally, I made a lot more than 100 units. But VIP is currently priced at $1,500 per year and also $150 per month. Now, VIP gives you access to every single bet that I make. Now, I know that not everyone can afford that. And my NBA content, being transparent with you, will remain exactly the same. If anything, it'll get better. Still give all the insights, my thoughts, what I like, what I don't, all that good stuff. But charge people for all the work that I do, it actually brings me one step closer to being able to create content full time. And I know a lot of you guys who've been supporting me will understand. Also, how much money I make actually betting on sports. As I showed you at the start of this video, it only takes a click of the finger for those sports books to restrict you, and then suddenly a volume of my cash flow could disappear and slow down. So I need to diversify my income, and charging for a lot of the good work that I do to get some support you guys is one way that I'm going to do it. But speaking of the price, I understand that a lot of you guys have been supporting me from day one. A lot of you guys from only 6 months ago, but regardless, the support I do appreciate. To all the OGs of this channel, I'm talking to you. Going to be running an offer to give you 75% of my VIP over the next 12 months. So if you buy it before the NBA season starts, for example, and you buy it with the 75% off, you'll get 75% off the whole VIP experience for the next 12 months, whether you buy a monthly subscription that renews every month or whether you just buy the whole 12 months outright. I'll leave that up to you. So I'll leave a link to that in the video description with the discount code below. I've also limited this to the first 50 people, so get on it real quick if you're interested. What can you expect to see before the NBA starts? We've got NFL things happening, WNBA, that'll kick off after the Olympics, plus all my Olympic stuff, and even some Australian sports, the stuff that I'm really close to. If I find a nice edge there, that's the type of stuff that I'm going to be sharing. But other than that, let's get back to the preview. All right, the next game is for Japan versus France. So Japan, they pretty got blown out in their last game with Germany. They just lack size and they didn't shoot very well from deep. France, not that great against Brazil, but they're cruising honestly at the moment with quite a soft draw. So the line's at 17.5. I don't want to talk about that if it means anything to you. It was at 18.5 at one point. So a lot of people are starting to bet Japan, but let's talk about some player props. What can we find in this game? So, well, I guess starting with the one that I like the most, it's Nicholas Batum. So his point sign's at 8.5, but what I'm going to be playing most likely is going to be his 3-pointers made prop. So it's at 1.5, it's at minus 150, but I absolutely love it. What I'm also going to be looking to do is ladder him to 3 and 4 3-pointers. So you're looking at plus 210 for 3. Plus 525 for 4. Now, he's gone over 1.5 3-pointers made in 3 out of his last 4 international games. I think he's gone over 3 or 4 in 3 of his last 4 games. So expect at least 25 minutes from him in this game. If you look at his attempts from his last 4 games from downtown alone, 8, 3, 5, and 9 attempts in his last 4 games. Japan, they're going to lack size. That means they're going to camp the paint, especially with Rudy and Victor patrolling. Japan keep it real tight. They camp the paint and they leave their perimeter exposed. And that's where someone like Nicholas Batum in the corner is going to make a lot of these 3-pointers. So I do like Nick Batum. The others I thought about, obviously there's Wembanyama, who can't get past him. I just found like he's pretty high, pretty close. And look, there's a lot of blowout risk in this as well. I know France are really pushing for 4 and against right now, but yeah, Victor didn't want to dance with. Rudy at 10.5. I lent to the over, but ultimately chose not to take it. For Japan, I probably got close to betting some props for Rui Hachimura and Watanabe. So to Watanabe, his line dropped. It was like 16.5 in the previous game. Even though he covered it, it's dropped to 14.5 because of the difficulty of this matchup. Rui, his line at 20.5. It's still quite high because his volume is crazy. He took 10 3-pointers in the last game here and he made 2 of them. So more 3-pointers to come, I would assume. But his 3-point line's at 2.5, same as Utah's. So, yeah, can't on anything for Japan. So I think my only bet from this game is going to be Nicholas Batum. All right, the last game of the slate, it's Brazil versus Germany. Now, Germany won their game against Japan pretty easily, whilst Brazil never stood a chance against France. Now, listen, player props. What am I thinking? My first is this guy, Bruno Caboclo. Now, Bruno, he's minus 140 at the moment, so this has really started to move since I last looked at it. But he's covered this point line in 3 out of his last 5 international games. He was held scoreless against France. 0. He had nothing. And he pretty much battled foul trouble. He only played 11 minutes, had 4 fouls in 11 minutes. Whereas this matchup, he's got a much easier matchup, I'll tell you that one. So, for example, Josh Hawkinson from Japan scored 13 points against Germany. Bruno, more talented offensively. I think he can cover these 13.5 points. He's capable of scoring 20. The other player that I'm looking at is one of the Germans. And I mind this guy, Andreas Obst. His point line's at 8.5. But what I think I'm going to run is his threes prop over 1.5. And that's moved quickly. Minus 190 it's come down to. But I'm also looking to ladder him to up to 4. So 3 3-pointers, we're looking at plus 160. 4 3-pointers at plus 400. Now, Andreas Obst, he's a lethal shooter from Germany. He's shooting above 50% in his last 4 games. He's actually covered this line in 3 out of his last 4 games. Now, his last game against Japan, he only took 2 3-pointers, which makes it almost impossible for me to hit my bets if he only takes 2. But I'm looking to see him get the volume back here against Brazil. He's capable of taking 8 to 10 3-pointers in a game if you let him. So I'm interested at playing that. The other player that I'm looking at here, because Germany, you haven't seen them play. They actually play some pretty nice basketball. They move the ball really well. Schroeder, really unselfish. A lot of these guys can score points. Actually, everybody on the board right here can go over. Obviously, we just spoke about Obst, Schroeder. If he wants to, he can go over. He hasn't been shooting that much, which is why everybody else has been playing so well. Daniel Tice got almost 20 points in the last game. Franz Wagner got over 20 points in the last game, and Mo Wagner got about 15. Like, all of these guys have been covering their lines quite well. A big parlay for Germany might be away, but I think where it might land is on this. Daniel Tice over 10.5 points. Now, he's covered this in 3 out of his last 4 international games. He's a lob threat. He can shoot the international 3, plus he makes his free throws. So Germany, very unselfish play style. He should get his share of shots. So Daniel Tice, I don't mind that look. Given the way that Germany play, I think Dennis Schroeder 7.5 assists could also be a good look. That's at minus 130. Now, he recorded 10 and 12 assists in his last 2 games. One was against USA, and then most recently against Japan. And I watched him very closely in that last game against Japan, where he did have 12 assists, because I bet on him to get 15 points and over 5 assists. He finished on 13 points and had 12 assists. So he was killing me. When I talk about unselfish, this motherfucker's unselfish. Now, he does have a lot of scorers around him. He's got Obs, who's a dead-eye shooter. Franz, who attacks the rim really well. Mo and Daniel Tice, who can go inside and outside as bigs. Daniel Tice obviously can catch some lobs as well. And with international rules, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, if you pass the ball to somebody, they go up to shoot and they get fouled, provided they make one of their first free throw, the person who passed on the ball gets credited for the assist. So that's another way that Dennis Schroeder can get some more assists. So I don't mind the over 7.5 for him. And like anybody from Brazil to score apart from Caboclo, so Bruno. And for Germany, take your pick. I actually think a lot of them are capable of a good game, outside of Dennis Schroeder, to be honest. So Obs, Tice, Franz, and Mo Wagner, I think they're all nice looks. In terms of rebounds, I'm not really fond of the rebounding prop in this Olympics. There's nobody who rebounds on a consistent basis. So I'm not really feeling that. But points, assists, and a lot of 3-pointers I can get with, to be honest. So those are my thoughts, my insights on these Olympic Games. If you're interested in telling the actual bets that I land on, you can obviously check it all out in my Winnable. For those of you who have already signed up to my VIP in Winnable, you guys will be receiving absolutely everything. But for those of you who are just part of the free plan, I'll still put a couple together for you. Your daily fantasy users, I'll keep you guys in mind as well. But if you did make it this far, please like the video, drop me a comment, tell me what you think. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because your boy's getting busy. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.